Gamers, today we're gonna do another tier list. I thought I did it for this month, but I think I did 2 last month. I did one at the start and one at the end, so I thought I did it already. There's some interesting development in the tier list department. Now before that, I want to say that Cutie Patootie Clips channel is back. We got 5-6 uploads and it will continue to upload. These are the old ones back in the day. Look at those views. God damn, we need to get back to that. Look at that, 30k, 30k, boom, boom, 30k. Either way, check it out. It's just Beastyqt clips. That's it on YouTube. And recently, Wayman has convinced me to get TikTok. Although I'm not doing I'm not doing it. There's someone doing TikTok. So if you are on TikTok, you can watch stuff there too. I don't make any money there. It's just for content purposes. Too old for that? I know, me too. With that being said, we're going to start with the shittiest civ in the world. Abbasid. It sucks. I don't know what to say, guys. It sucks. Okay? It has some play, but it sucks. So I'm gonna base this off of open land maps. Obviously, water maps, hybrid maps, you guys know, like, water maps and hybrid maps are same as always. It's like, the same civs are the best. Nothing's changed there for the past year, so I'm not gonna include hybrid maps, like 4 lakes, or like Baltic or whatever. I'm gonna talk about land maps, like open maps, like Dry Arabia, Highview, The Pit, Lipany, whatever. So, the new big tournament that's coming, EGC Classic, which is a tournament featuring open maps, and players have been practicing quite a bit on it. And the meta has kind of shifted back to the Red Bull patch, if you guys remember, where it was like very aggro, very aggressive, very all-in. And the TC meta is back. Now, I'm not sure what caused this exactly, because there's been so many changes I can't keep up. But basically, almost every single civ in the game, except like maybe Ottoman and Delhi, maybe Mongol, is going 2 TC. And some are even going 3-4 TC, depending on the matchups. And because of that, the meta, once again, just like during the Red Bull tournament patch, the meta is too fast, and Abbasid just feels so slow, and it just feels like you get mowed down by the other civ. So yeah, and again, I am basing this tier list, I always gotta say this, off of like, these are, in my opinion, the top at the top level civ tier list. So if you're doing great with Abbasid in Gold League or Platinum or Diamond, thumbs up. Also, Abbasid being D tier doesn't mean that it's unwinnable. There's just certain civs being a little bit better. Like, I'm still gonna play Abbasid in the tournament that's coming up. It's just not gonna be a prio pick for any player, not just me, but for any player. So with that being said, the best civ still, in my opinion, is Malian. It's still in every practice game, so the tournament hasn't started yet, but in every practice game it's getting banned, and there's been some movement around Malian. People have been dealing with it a little bit better, I would say. It's like Malian still wins, but it's not as bad and dominant as it used to be. I don't know if we're like close to figuring out how to play against Malian, but they're getting nerfed in like a few weeks anyway. But I've even tried some 2 TC Malian recently, and that works too. So yeah, I mean, it's just, the scouts are still busted, you know how it is, for Rimba, all the good stuff. So still probably the best civ in the game. The next civ we're going to be talking about is going to be the A tier civ, and that's going to be Rus. I'm almost inclined to put Rus S tier. I'm going to keep it here. But I do think Rus is like, it is a bit better than the other civs right now. So it's probably going to be the best A tier civ. It's like A plus, S minus. So the reason why Rus is so good is because of gremlins. Golden Gate is not used anymore at the top level at all. I don't remember the last time I've seen Golden Gate, which is funny because Golden Gate used to be second best landmark in the game. And then Gremlins got put into the game, and no one's going Golden Gate anymore. So the reason why Kremlin is so good is because it's so good defensively, it completely negates any harassment on your wood line. And if you get gold close to your wood line as well, the opponent can harass your gold or wood. So the only thing that the Rus needs to do is cover their food, and that's it. In a way, their eco feels like Malian, where you can't really harass them early on. I just think it's a really, really strong civ. Also, people have stopped making scouts from TC. They instead rush hunting cabin. So if you're playing against Rus, you have to make a scout. And in return, you actually are worker behind from the get-go against Rus. So that's kind of annoying too. But yeah, also they got gremlins they can use offensively, and they can also use them to prevent your TC. They're just very annoying to play against. They got a good amount of passive gold in castle. It's just a really good civ. So I would definitely put Rus's second best civ right now. Not quite S tier, but maybe in the next patch when Malian gets nerfed and Rus is getting some changes as well, maybe Rus is going to be the best civ. But right now, it's really good. Late game, Rus is obviously really good, so pretty strong. The next civ we will be talking about is, I gotta say, Ottoman, not too hot. Not too hot. In all the practice games that I've had, it's not very high on the pick list. Now, it's not like Abbasid where it's like, oh, it's bad, so that's why I'm not putting it in D tier. It's playable, it's fine. But again, the problem with Ottoman is it's so predictable. Like, everyone's doing the 1 TC archer spam. There's been some attempts with 2 TC. It just doesn't really work out. I feel like if you want a 2 TC, you probably just play other civ. But because the meta... So, Ottomans used to be like S tier or A tier when the meta was like try to get to castle or maybe skip this or skip that, and then Ottoman hits and kind of just kills you. And right now the meta is fighting in feudal, and a lot of the civs that are good in feudal are the knight civs or Malians, which Ottoman's not that good against. So the civs that Ottoman is good against, for example, is Mongol, Delhi, Abbasid. And those civs are not played too often. Again, it's not a bad civ, it's just very predictable and kind of, you know what's going to happen in a way. The next civ I'll be talking about is Mongol. Now, I would actually put Mongol higher than Ottoman, just because it has some diversity. You can go Deer Stones, you can go 2 TC, you can go trade, you can tower rush. Like, there's quite a few things you can do. I do think Mongol is way harder to play than Ottoman, because Mongol feels like one mistake and you're just dead, or you just lost too many units or something. So I do feel that Mongol is, I think Mongol is better in the player, in the hands of a better skill player, but probably worse if you're worse player overall. I think Ottoman is just easier to play. Even though it's more predictable, it's easier to execute, and what they are doing is stronger. But Mongol does have more options. So that's why they're same tier. I personally think maybe Mongol is slightly better in certain situations, but both civs are down there. Let's just say that. The next civ we will be talking about is going to be Holy Roman Empire. I think I put Holy Roman Empire on B tier or A tier last time. That has changed. And the reason why that has changed is because the top civs are the civs that are very good against HRE. So whenever the top 1, 2, 3 civs are good against the civ, obviously that civ is not going to perform as well as some of the other civs. Not to mention the top civs are very popular right now. You know, sometimes we had Delhi A tier, but it wasn't as popular. So even the civs that he countered, it wasn't a big deal. And now, like I said, the top civs just counter HRE. It's still a good civ. I would say it's all around good, solid. You know, you can play it on pretty much any map. Doesn't have really bad maps, even if it's water or hybrid. So, very nice. But I also don't think it counters any civs. Even HRE versus Delhi, I don't really think is that HRE favored. Like, I would maybe say, like, 55-45, which is, I think, better player can win easily. The next civ we'll be talking about is Delhi. I also think Delhi has fallen off a bit. Delhi gets beaten by the top civs as well. And even though it does a little bit better against HRE in the recent times, and it's going to be you know, in the new patch, it's going to be a lot better. In the new patch, I'll make a new tier list, obviously. But I feel that Delhi kind of is in the similar boat like Ottoman, where you know exactly what Delhi's going to do. You know? I don't need to scout. I know exactly what's happening. They're going to open some horsemen or some spearmen. Then they're going to make archers. They're going to wall off sacred sites. It's same like Ottoman. You know what they're going to do. Except I do think that, funny thing is, Ottoman beats Delhi. But Delhi, I think, has better matchups into other civs. And it forces opponents to be out on the map. So Delhi usually plays with like really good multitasking and harassment into like castles, sacred sites, and stuff like that. It's a very tempo-based civ, so if the game starts off rough for you, it's going to be a rough game. But if you have a good tempo going, then it kind of just snowballs with Delhi. So I think B tier is fair. The next civ we're going to be talking about is Chinese, aka Zumbi. China is A tier. I think the reason China is A tier, even on land maps, because it has Barbican, it has Zuginu, they're very strong in feudal, their units are very cheap in feudal, Spearmen and Zuginu, they can age up very quickly, Palace Guards are very strong, Imperial is fucking broken as hell, and I think just having Barbican against all these aggro civs helps quite a bit. So, yeah, I think China is a pretty good civ. It used to be like very bad on open maps, but that's not the case anymore. People play it everywhere. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but we haven't seen this civ under a certain rank for a while. But I actually think that English is B tier. I've played a lot of English recently, and it just feels like I'm struggling against every civ. Like, not necessarily that I'm not winning, but even when I get ahead, it feels like it's hard to finish off games. The economy is a little bit too slow. The economy doesn't ramp up as some of the other top civs. It's very slow build up. And then at one point you just have too many resources. So I also think that English being you know, spearman longbow civ in feudal kind of fucks it a little bit, because you can't just play super passive with English and stay back because the opponent is going to take the whole map. But if you go out on the map, you have to be on point with your units or you're just going to get overwhelmed. It's similar with China, where China goes spearman Zuginu, but China can stay back and just macro and then kill people in castle. Whereas English, you know, just like back in the day, castle is kind of slow still. You're not really exploding in units or economy or whatever. So I think English is a good civ. Again, it's an all-around solid civ. I don't think it has any counters. Well, Delhi, I guess. But other than Delhi, I don't think it has any counters. It's all-around good civ, but I don't think it's like a top civ anymore. So, yeah. And last but not least, French is A tier, motherfucker. We're back. Damn. That feels weird. So yeah, French is really good, apparently. The top pro players are playing it a lot. It's getting picked a lot. A lot of people are first picking it, which is kind of weird because that hasn't happened since first 6 months of the game. Now, why is French suddenly good? Well, we've had that minor patch, and if you guys remember, the first tier list I think I did last month, I put French in C tier, or maybe even D tier. And then I put it a tier or tier or two above, and I said, I see potential in French. People have been improving, people have been figuring out stuff, and I said I could see French going higher. And, well, French did go higher. So why is French suddenly A tier when, quote-unquote, not much has changed? There's two changes that affected French quite a bit. Change number one is they've had a bug fix where French knights will now two-shot villagers. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Before the last patch, the French knight would charge in, auto attack, and sometimes he would kill the villager, sometimes the villager would remain on like 1 health. I don't know why that happened, but that is fixed. And now French knights do the charge and attack, and they kill the villager. Now this might, for some people, might not seem like a big deal, but this is a massive deal. Massive deal. Because right now, there's a lot of like micro developments with French where people are avoiding spearmen just so they can get the charge off on the villager. And once you get the charge on the villager's dead because you just auto attack it. Even if the spearman is poking you, as long as they don't brace and stun you or snare you, you get the villager. And getting the villager with first knight is massive, and it's very easy to lose a villager to one knight these days. It's very easy. Like the top pros are so good with French right now. Sometimes even if you have like 2-3 spearmen around stone, the players can like micro 2 French knights, 1 from each side, and the moment you slip up, the villager's dead. And that was a pretty big change that initially I didn't think it would have that big of an impact, but it's so easy to lose villagers. Now, the second change that happened is the improved villager production from town center. Now, I said this, that, you know, it was like a second or two, depending on the age, faster villager production. Well, it turns out those 2 changes, on top of the meta going back to very heavy feudal play at the top level, where people go 2-3 TC into all in, into getting boars, into deer, into everything. Because the feudal is extended, the French is getting massive value. It's they're kind of have budget Song Dynasty and feudal age, which might not seem like a lot, but if you're 2 TC with French, I think your villager in feudal produces in 17 seconds. Someone can correct me on this. I think it's 17 or 8. No, I think it's 17. It used to be 18. So their villager produces in 17. Song Dynasty is 15 seconds. So because the games are extended feudal, what I like to call the games that kind of keep going in feudal for a while, the villager production kind of ramps up. And every time you pick off a villager, not only you're getting ahead that way, but every, what is that, like 7 villagers per TC, you have another villager out of thin air. And the longer the game goes, even if the French is not killing any villagers, they're getting ahead in economy. Their eco upgrades are also cheaper, so they can get them a lot earlier compared to the other civs. And once they reach into castle, their villager production goes down to 16 seconds, which is very close to Song Dynasty. So I've had some games where the French player goes 3 TC, and it's like China 3 TC almost, right, with Song Dynasty, except they're spamming knights and feudal and archers and stuff like that. And anytime, at any point, the knights will get in, whether it's your gold or your wood line or your food. A few villagers go down, and it snowballs pretty hard. Now, French does have some bad matchups, being China and Malian, but I would say, you know, Delhi used to be a very good civ into French, but I don't think so anymore. Like, if French goes 2 TC and then the civs just fight, any villager you lose, your economy just gets completely shafted at that point. So I personally think that French is right now really good in the hands of really good players, because they can create advantages very easily. Like, and because you're playing French, you're always the one attacking. So look at it this way: if you do no damage with French, you're even, and then slowly you're getting ahead because of the budget Song Dynasty. But anytime you get any kills, you're getting way further ahead in economy. Now, there's also been some changes for French in Imperial. I can't remember exactly what they were. It had something to do with siege or siege landmark or something. And French honestly doesn't feel that bad in Imperial anymore either. I've recently had a game where I beat one of the top players in Imperial in French versus HRE, and the HRE player had, I think, 4 or 5 relics. So yeah, overall I think French is really strong, like I said, in hands of good players. And the reason why I'm taking so much time on French is because it's kind of like changing the positions on tier lists without much happening. So I just wanted to kind of fill you in, guys, on what's happening. And yeah, and also if you get a rough spawn, see, another good thing about French is it's kind of like Rus, where it's not really affected by the bad spawn, because you're the one controlling the map. It doesn't matter if your deer is there or there, you're gonna get it anyway. But if your opponent gets a bad spawn, aka their food is all over the place, that is a big advantage for Rus and French, because they're so aggro. But yeah, I would say this is probably my tier list as of right now. Is this tier list for 1-on-1? Yes, for 1-on-1 open land maps. So there it is. I've been playing a lot more French recently. Like I said, I think it's a really good civ. Feels good, plays good, and very nice. Tier list of all your medical conditions during tournaments. One day. Nice. Anyway, if you're watching this on YouTube, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, Cutie Patootie clips are back again at Beastyqt clips. So check them out, give it a sub, and all the good stuff. Check me out on Twitch. I'm probably live right now because I stream like 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. YouTubers, thank you for watching. Twitch gamers, let's keep going.